Hello, everyone. This is Andreas, Pop Culture Guy. Today, we have another spectacular pop culture retrospective and review. And of course, it's on the 2003 uh, X2 X-Men United, the sequel to the first X-Men film back in 2000. Now, X2 X-Men United, the 2003 American superhero film, directed by, of course, Bryan Singer, whatever, written by Michael Dougherty, Dan Harris, and Dave Hayter, from a story by Singer, Hayter, and Zak Penn. It's a sequel to the X-Men 2000 film, as well as the second installment in the X-Men film series, and features an ensemble cast including Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, Ian McKellen, Halle Berry, Famke Janssen, James Marsden, and Rebecca Romaine, with the new cast of Brian Cox, Alan Cumming, Bruce Davison, Shawn Ashmore, Aaron Stanford, Kelly Hu, but also with returning people with Chris Davison, and Anna Paquin. Now, the reason I'm reviewing this, and of course I'm back to do more pop culture retrospective reviews, is because, well, this year is its 20th anniversary, X2. So this year, although it's considered superior to the first X-Men film, the film for me ranks as the fourth best X-Men film, in my opinion. After all, it's after my ranking of First Class, Logan, and Days of Future Past in my X-Men film ranking. If you want to see my ranking, it's in the YouTube channel of Andreas Pop Culture channel presents. But anyway, now, but at the same time, it's still a great sequel that it does the original 2000 film, plus expands the universe with newer characters, plus a better villain plot that is terrific among best villain motivations in the comic book movies, in my mind. X2, or aka X2 X-Men United. Oh my god, these titles for these X-Men films. In a very considerable way, we're talking about is sequel that improved upon its predecessor. From its massive scope, bigger budget, larger cast, and yes, much larger take at the whole global box of 407 million worldwide back in 2003, this was the best case scenario that every studio hopes for, going in a bigger, hoping it will equally better sequel from the original. 2 decades later, its status is raising the bar for future comic book adaptations simply cannot be ignored. Now, in honor of this movie's 20th anniversary, we're looking back at X2 and why Fox had some trouble getting going as quickly as they have liked from the original. But how nailing the script down became a bit of a problem, but what happened during its world-breaking fact run is what lessons we can learn from these years later. Let's dig in and shall we about what make X2 a great X-Men film. Now, first off is the story. The story that X2 heavily borrows is X-Men God's Loves, Man Kills. As part of Marvel's original graphic novel program, the series was brought together from variant X-Men writer Chris Claremont with rising artist Brent Anderson. I read the book. X-Men God Loves and Man Kills is a great story. And they used the freedom afforded by the graphic novel format to deliver an X-Men story that fully showcased the core elements of the team, like prejudice, freedom, and racism. The story could end up having a huge impact on the story of X2, which it did. Its plot, inspired by the graphic novel of God Loves, Man Kills, concerns a genocidal Colonel William Stryker, the main villain of X2 and the villain of God Loves, Man Kills, leading an assault on Professor X's school to build his own version of Xavier's mutant-tracking computer Cerebro in order to destroy every mutant on Earth and to save human race from them, forcing the X-Men to team up with the Brotherhood of Mutants, of course, Mystique and Magneto from the first film, their former enemies, to stop Stryker and save the mutant race at all costs. Many comic book adaptations draw from few sources when developing these stories. Through X2, is one of the few adaptations that dive mostly from a single source, which is definitely true. Lots of the plot points from the God Loves and Man Kills that I noticed is definitely from this story, came into the film, like Magneto joining the forces with the X-Men that happened in the book, tricked Xavier into killing humanity by attracting him into a giant machine. That is very true in the story. To that end, a huge part of what works about X2 to this day for me is the fact that it treats the source material with reverence and respect, like any other comic movie. It's not scared of what was laid out in the comics, even if the outfits weren't colorful, or I say the villains are not very fashionable, or the curations of characters are not faithful from the comics, but the spirit of the story is true to those beloved books. And this is where the other movies in the X-Men universe in the movie series shield away from the source material have failed over the years. In this case, X-Men The Last Stand, Dark Phoenix, X-Men Origins Wolverine, and what they did with Deadpool before he got a faithful adaptation in his solo film. But anyway, all that said, for whatever excess superhero movies have enjoyed over the last 2 decades, this movie, X2, is owned its share of credit, I think. I know there's so many superheroes nowadays, but watching this movie now and 20 years later, it doesn't suffer from feeling too dated. It feels relevant today with its themes and social commentary. It still packs a punch, and that's impressive. At the time, it felt revolution and was awarded greatly for it. So in this case, I highly recommend watching X2, X-Men Unite. It's a 9 out of 10 for me, or 8 out of 10, I would say. And go and watch it. And of course, happy 20th anniversary, X2.